Here's how I like to warm up for deadlifts. So the purpose of this warm up is to not take a ton of time, get lots of blood flow, get me prepped, get my nervous system ready, and also make sure that I have enough range of motion and mobility to get into a great deadlift position. So I'm going to do all of that stuff, practice those positions within 15 minutes or less so I can get to my real workout. Here's how I do it. First thing I'm going to start with is something like the bike. You could use a rowing machine or something, but just something to generally warm up for about 4 to 5 minutes at kind of a medium to medium hard pace. So by the end of it, you're breathing a little bit hard, you're sweaty, your body temperature has warmed up, and you're sort of ready to move on to the next thing. If your hips are a little bit tight, in other words, you cannot fold over very far and you kind of have to round over to get to the bar. And by the way, if you're not sure if you do that, I'm going to link to another video that explains all about that and how much flexibility you actually need to get into a good deadlift position. But if that's an issue, one of the best warm-ups that I know of is like this. You're going to put a band as high in your hip as possible. This is the leg that I'm going to be working on, the one with the band. So I'm going to step forward as much as I can without feeling like I'm about to kill myself. I'm going to put both hands on the floor. So I'm just straightening and flexing that one leg. And I'm going to do about 20 or 30 reps per side. What you should feel like after you do that is you can just get over a little bit more. It's a great hamstring warm up prior to deadlifting. Once I finish with that, I'm going to do another really nice mobility drill for my hamstrings. I'm going to lay down on the mat. I'm going to come here. I'm going to pull my toes toward me as hard as I can, and I'm maintaining that all the way through. And I'm coming up as high as possible, keeping my legs straight, holding that for a couple seconds, and back down, and I'll do that about 10 times. So I'm working my abs, but it's also an active mobility drill for my hamstrings and calves, which need to be sufficiently loose to deadlift well. The next drill I'm going to do is really to get your glutes fired up for that deadlift movement specifically. So you're going to use some kind of weight. This could be a barbell, a dumbbell. I'd probably go a little bit heavier on this than normal, but all I'm going to do is I'm leaning forward into the band. I'm going to push my hips back a little bit. I'm just hinging back. My chest stays up. I don't drop. And I don't need to push my hips super, super far back like I maybe normally would in a Romanian deadlift or something like that. For this particular drill, I'm going to come up and I'm trying to push that band as far forward as I can. I'm squeezing my glutes as hard as I possibly can, pausing for a couple seconds at the top, come back down, and again. And I'm going to do 15 repetitions of this. Next one I'm going to do, and I just happen to have this, I would usually go heavier, maybe like use a barbell about 135 or something like that, maybe 150. And I'm going to do some Romanian deadlifts, and I'm going to pause in the bottom. So I'm just kind of stretching out for a bit. I'm not relaxing, but I'm just spending some time in that bottom position. Still squeezing my bum all the way up. And the main thing is I'm not allowing myself to relax in the bottom at all. So that's a really nice way to warm up your hamstrings and get a little more length under tension there. And then the last thing I like to often add in is some single leg work, just to make sure both legs are kind of fired up. So I'm going to do some single leg Romanian deadlifts with a little bit of weight. And I usually do 10 per side or so at a weight that is a little bit challenging. Once I finish all that, I'm going to go through that again, all the way through, or about as many times as I can in about 10 to 12 minutes. By that time, I should be able to get at least 2 rounds of that whole sequence done, and I'm going to be really, really well prepared to get into a heavy deadlift session.